Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Hello and welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, where today we're going to be discussing whether Joey Logano is the Max Verstappen of NASCAR. And also we can wake Paul up because he's a little bit jet-lagged when we're going through his trip to Japan, where you are still, 7 p.m. and I'm 10 a.m., to see the end of the Superformula Championship crown, but also the latest in the developing world of autonomous racing, Paul. I'm looking forward to your on-the-spot report. But I think we have to start with NASCAR. Well, do I have to start with the news first? Because finally we got Gabriele Bortoleto has been signed to do the Audi drive, which was a growing rumour anyway. So we can finally say goodbye to Valtteri Bottas, who I got a bit upset some people by saying good time for him to go. But it is Valtteri. Had a great career. He's won 10 Grand Prix, you forget, or something like, or 5 Grand Prix, I can't remember which. So it is goodbye, Valtteri. Hello, Bortoleto. The other big noise is Franco Colapinto has been stirring up. Everybody's got excited. And I think it's the financial potential more than the talent of Colapinto. I mean, I don't know what you think. I mean, the first 2 races were tracks he knew, and I think, to me, in my mind, Albon was having a bad couple of weekends and Colapinto looked good. But he didn't look quite so good in Brazil. I still don't, I'm not sure yet whether he's really that good, but I think they all want because I think there's so much excitement from South America and Brazil, and they all loved him, and I think the financial potential. I mean, Horner's been saying, put him straight into Red Bull alongside Max. Because
wow, I didn't hear that. I know he started off so well. He was like, where did he come from? Everybody was just shocked at how well he did the first couple, and he sort of tailed off a little bit. So I don't know. Straight into Red Bull, I never heard that.
I think some Monza's maybe an easiest track. You remember De Vries came in? What did De Vries come in and substitute? Everyone raved about him, didn't they? And they signed him up, and then they dropped him after about 6 Grand Prix. Which team did he look good in? And then it didn't really work out for him, and he got dumped. Anyway, so I'm still on the fence about Colapinto's talent, although he's a great character, and I think very impressed. But I mean, even Alpine, they're talking about Alpine are after him, having signed Doohan. So they've got their 2 drivers, and yet everybody seems to think there's a lot of money down in South America. But
it's interesting what you say about Bottas, because he did win some Grand Prix. They had the most dominant car by a long way. But you remember, he was brilliant at he set a lot of pole positions. He was very good at qualifying. He outqualified Lewis quite a few times. He never seemed to get it quite right in the racing, but he still was a multiple Grand Prix winner. But definitely time for him.
Never aggressive enough on the opening laps. Never aggressive enough. I remember when we had a race who was stuck behind Williams' team at Massa when they were leading at Silverstone. And Valtteri had been on pole. They should have let him by because he was obviously the quicker. But he didn't sort of push and shove and say, get out of the way. So a lovely character and a great career, and hopefully that's good. We've opened up. We've got some more youngsters in. It's great. More youngsters in. The other news of the story is Qatar apparently about to buy Audi Sauber. It's the news story coming through.
Well, certainly investing into it. They're investing heavily into it because it's going to Audi. They're not going to buy Audi, of course, but.
Well, no, but I didn't realise they own 17% of Audi, Qatar. They're already into Audi. And of course, Audi VAG Group have got this, financial problems as all car manufacturers at the moment. I don't think apparently the rumour was they were going to buy Audi Sauber. The Rousing family own Sauber for 650 million was going to be the price. Whereas Qatar apparently rumoured to be offering to spend at least £1 billion on the team to help advance it.
What's the Rousing family? Hans Rousing, was that Tetra Pak?
The Tetra Paks, yeah. Amazing how rich you can get inventing a little milk carton.
So if you wonder what on earth I'm talking about, Tetra Pak, exactly, milk carton. It's like a waterproofing cardboard.
Yeah, those greasy cardboard.
So I remember sort of 20, 30 years ago, the Sunday Times Rich List, you're looking through it, and I remember that name, the Hans Rousing, and made all that money from just milk cartons. Incredible.
Yeah. So that's the news on the Formula One world.
And I was talking, just going back to the seats, I was just dropping in. Of course, that my mate for the weekend was Daniel Kvyat, and we're talking about Grand Prix seats because he still would love to be there. Of course he would. Yeah. He doesn't feel he's too old. He still feels he's fast enough. But he said it will never, ever happen. Politics and how few seats there are. So pretty much endorsed what we've always been saying, and about the money as well, that you've got to bring money into the mix. So it's quite interesting hearing from him as well.
But no, so back to the main race of the weekend then, because we're obviously going around talking about what happened last weekend. And it was, of course, the final of the final NASCAR playoffs.
On, then. How excited are you? Or are you?
Well, it was the worst one of the four, because it was down to four drivers. The one that won the flipping race, Joey Logano. And I'm one of these Marmite on the fence with Joey Logano's, because he's now won 3 titles, like Max Verstappen. This is why I sort of suddenly spotted why he's not liked that much in America. I mean, first of all, he was a rich young, came in very young. He's from Connecticut or something up near New York, north of New York. So he wasn't a good old Southern boy. He came into NASCAR very young, heavily financed by rich dad. So he was a rich kid from the north coming down. Extremely talented straight away.
Why have you got such an issue about that? Good for them.
Because he started... No, wait. I mean, that was why some of the NASCAR fans... I'm talking about when he's not popular with NASCAR fans, not just me.
Well.
But then, because I think the good old boys pushed him around a bit. So from when he was young, he suddenly realised, well, if you're going to get on in NASCAR, you've got to be a pusher and a shover, a bit like the famous Dale Earnhardt Sr., So he started putting his bumper and pushing people out and winning races by devious means, which, was sort of that on the edge. And about Max's overtaking manoeuvres in Formula One, everybody has that feeling that, he's pushing his luck. I think Joey, when he's younger, pushed his luck maybe a bit too far with some of the established stars and put them in the wall to win races. So he's always had that. And he's a sort of odd-looking character. He reminds me of Woody from Toy Story. I don't know why. And he's always grinning and smiling. So he always looks so friendly. But his talent behind the wheel is, like Max is supreme. He's incredibly talented. But he's always had this sort of bit of an anti-crowd, and I'm sort of on the same level. I've never quite warmed to him, especially, and also when they push him, he's outraged. You know what I mean? He's like, well, I don't do it like that,
Yeah.
So it's the poacher turned gamekeeper, and when it's the other way, on the other foot, they pushed me out, they won because they pushed me out. Yeah, well, like what you've done to plenty of other people. Yeah. So there was one race. It was Hamlin or someone was sort of on a stretcher who put him in the wall so hard. And he was at the prize giving saying, what a great race I had. And the fans' favourite. So I think it was a Hamlin or it was sort of, being put into an ambulance because he put him into the wall.
But like you say, you can't have your cake and if you're going to dish it out, you've got to be prepared to receive it as well.
But also it's quite annoying because sort of Joey was the one that got into the eight playoffs. Because Alex Bowman was found to be underweight. So we were all celebrating. The anti-Joeys were celebrating because he was 9th and he wasn't even going to get into the playoffs. And then he had a sort of fortuitous win in one of the first of the round of 8, which guaranteed he got through to the round of 4, then didn't really feature much. And so we were sort of, the anti-Joeys were upset he was even in the last 4. I'd switched from Kyle Larson, who didn't make it. I'd switched my loyalty to... Tyler Reddick, who was the Needell family favourite when Larson had a year out. She was suspended for a year. We supported Tyler Reddick, who's got the same
Why was he suspended for a year?
Racist comments, wasn't it, when he was racing online?
Wow.
So, doing online, bit of fun online, called his mate the wrong word. He was suspended for a year.
But Tyler Reddick... That was only a few years ago.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But Reddick used to drive like Larson. He was another wall runner. One of these famous guys that like Larson can stay with them. But the final was run at the track, I think, spoiled it. It was a dull race, basically. Lots of build-up drama. It wasn't the best of races. And it turned out the Penske pairing of Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney had the best cars. The Ford Penske's weren't really on the speed for the first half of the season. They've been getting better and better all year. But the track they have, I don't know if it's always the track. I didn't bother to check the history books. I think it might be. This Phoenix Raceway is a weird sort of bendy oval thing, the little bendy ovals. But it's got this huge apron, the dog leg. They allow the cars to shortcut across this huge area of flat tarmac, then come back on the wall. And it seems to, they don't use it in qualifying much. It might be worth a 10th. But in fact, Joey Logano used that huge flat apron. There weren't many. The other reason why I wasn't exciting race was there weren't many safety cars. There were very few yellows. Only about 2 cautions and 2 restarts. Obviously, after the the stages had been done. But all the top four were in it, leading, and up there at one time. There was the Chevrolet, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Blaney, and Logano, all up in the top six, mixing it with Timothy Bell, who was Christopher Bell, who was still pissed off that he'd been kicked out for wall riding the week before. Still thought he'd been robbed. Had a press conference, said, "I've been robbed," because of course out front of him, the Chevrolets had that blockage behind Byron to get Byron in. And so, Christopher Bell was saying, "Well, I only had to do the wall riding because I've been stitched up." Anyway, he was still raging. He led for a long time. I thought he might win it to sort of prove his point. And of course, Larson was in the top six. So the top four were all sort of in the top six for the whole race. So it was always there. But always it seemed the Penske Fords had the speed. And Logano actually dropped to the back of the sort of top six when he had a bad pit stop. And then his jackman fell ill, so there was a bit of drama in the pits with Logano's team. So it always looked like Logano was the least one. But then they all crept forward. And in the final restart, it looked good for Byron, because Byron and Larson were side by side on the front row of the restart. So this is it. Byron's going to be there. But then Joey actually used the dogleg on the restart from about fourth on the grid and overtook them all. Just went inside, came back up in front of the Chevrolets, and that was the race over. Whereas Blaney, who was sharing the third row, I think, with Logano, decided to go high to try and go around the outside of them, but they slid up in front of him. So Blaney got blocked. And then we had a really good last 20 laps. It was a proper motor race, not banging and crashing, as Blaney slowly, by a tenth of a second a lap, caught up with Joey with about 2 laps to go. Actually, sort of got almost on his rear quarter. But then, again, Logano was driving so well, and he put 1 lap in and pulled another car length or 2. And I was looking forward to Blaney putting the bumper to Logano and sticking him in the wall, but it didn't happen. So Joey got his 3rd title. I hope they go to another track. I don't think Phoenix was the best track for it. They're all very spread out, apart from the restart, which is quite exciting.
So what's the final 12? Who's in it?
That's it now. That's it. Logano's a championship. You've run out of steam now. It's gone from it goes from 16 to 12 to 8 to 4 to 1.
Okay.
Well, this jet lag's not doing you any good, is it?
I'm glad I pay attention every week.
But the most exciting part actually was when the pace car hit the tyre barrier in front of the pit lane entry. Because they lead the field round and they dive into the pits.
Yeah.
Well, he left his dive too late. But in front of the horrible wall ending, which just in case a car hits it between the track and the pit lane entrance, they always put these great big tyre stacks out. And he took all these tyre stacks out, which is a bit embarrassing. That's put a red flag out there. That was quite early in the race. They had to stop everyone when they rebuilt the barrier in front of the pits.
How bizarre.
So it was a good, tense race, but not enough racing to make it an exciting
Hang on,
finale.
So who's champion?
Joey Logano.
Oh, that's
what I'm saying. That was how I started the story. That's why I was disappointed with the result. You need to get down a bar and have another bit of sake or something. Wake yourself up.
I'm definitely going to.
Because now we're going over to you for your live reporting of your first ever trip to Japan to see how you thought of the Japanese racing team. Was there a big crowd? Because I raced a lot, obviously, in the late. I started first race in Suzuka in 1979. Finished 4th in a Formula 2 race.
Lots of people said they know you. Lots of older people. Said they know you. No, they did. And
was the stand pack? It was the last 2 rounds. There was the last penultimate last round of the Superformula. A big crowd Saturday and Sunday, or what's
not especially. Well, it's such a massive circuit, you don't really know. But in the grandstand, the main grandstand was the only one that I could really see. They said there's about 25,000 people there. At about 40,000 over the weekend, so about 25,000 on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And Superformula, if you don't know much about it, which I didn't know much about it, it's supposed to be the second fastest formula out there. So apparently Formula 1, and then Superformulas are behind that. And then there's Formula 2, then there's IndyCar. So they reckon IndyCar is right the way down, slower than typically around a sort of circuit like Suzuka or Silverstone. So IndyCar would be about 4th. So did you know that?
And yes, but in which formula do they overtake more? In the slower formula. How much overtaking on the track?
No, absolutely.
And they go to Suzuka. They're just processional.
Well, Suzuka is very tight, isn't it? But again, my mate Danny was agreeing that you lots of
who's your mate Danny? Where's he come
Danny
from?
Danny Kvyat.
Oh, it's your mate Danny. Oh. Danielle. They call him Danny. Danielle. They call him Danny. Or was that just you because you're such buddies with him?
Danny. No, definitely Danny. Me and Dan. He was there. We'll come on to that.
We'll come to him later. Yeah. So did you watch the Superformula? Subai won the championship.
Well, it was between two, and he pipped at the end, got 2 second places, so he won. Yeah, it was enough.
His third title. He's a 29. He's not going to come over to Europe. I don't think. I think he's going to be a fully Japanese driver. He's 29 years old now. He's Super GT reigning champion. And I think it's this coming weekend he can win the Super GT title at Fuji in a Toyota Supra. I think he could be the first double champion to win sports cars and single seat in the same year. And he drives for Tom's team, which I race for, Tom's Toyota. So I race for the same team as he's with. But he won the Formula 3 championship in 2018 in a Tom's Toyota Formula 3 car, dominated the Formula 3. But he's been in Superformula ever since, but never really, I think he was 4th last year. But he actually switched to Tom's this year for his first season in Superformula Tom's and has won the championship. So Sho Suboi, I think. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
good circuit. But hang on, wait. Let's talk about Suzuka. You've raced there.
I didn't know you knew enough about it. I thought you were still.
Well, I don't.
Stunned.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the Suzuka expert. No, but we had a walk around and not just because we were based mainly in the pits, start finish straight, but we had a walk around and you've got that wonderful I don't know what the corners are called, where they go right, then left up the hill, then
the S's. There's all the S's and the Dunlop curve. Did you go to the playground? Did you go to the fairground?
I did go into the playground. No, of course we saw it. You see it from pretty much everywhere. But wow, they're fast through there. These Superformula cars, so fast. The downforce is crazy, and I might have a surprise for you this week, but we'll come on to that the following week, next Monday. So you might want to do some weights. But yes, I was there for A2RL, so it's the Autonomous Racing League based out of Abu Dhabi. We're doing an article on that because we were the first to say, well, autonomous racing, who wants that? It's awful. But it's not about the racing. It's about what they're doing and what the technology that they're implementing in these cars and how that will influence our lives in the future. Yeah.
It's like motor racing. Like motor racing improves the breed, and they're really just trying to improve the breed of autonomous or accelerate the development of autonomous cars, aren't they? By putting a couple on the racetrack. But they had a bit of a farcical mess last August. Was it August then when they had those races and they were crashing a bit and stuff? So this was a first trip to Japan. Yes. How did it go?
So they had so Yas Marina in coding world. So they're not remote controlled. They're coded. This is all software. This is AI, artificial intelligence doing it. And their first race they had at Yas Marina, their one car broke down on the track, and then the other cars wouldn't overtake us as a red flag. Yeah, and of course you can. But so it's all these little things, all these little challenges, and they keep getting better and learning more and more and more. So on the Saturday, they had a bit of a procession with 2 AI cars out on track on Suzuka, which is far more tricky than Yas Marina. Yas Marina's flat and
very
open.
Brave.
Suzuka's. I know.
Stand in the pits and say goodbye to your car at Suzuka. I wouldn't think that they're ever going to come back again because it's got so many blind crests and twists and hairpins. It's got every type of corner.
And it was cold as well. The track temperature was cold. So the biggest issue they've got is tyres and warming the tyres up because they actually start not from the garage like you would with a traditional car. They start on the start-finish line. They wheel them out on a trolley, so you can't even move it with a steering wheel because it's all covered up. And
you can't.
Computers and so it's all these little things. But the biggest issue they've got is warming the tyres up. The only way at the moment, it can't weave like a human can. They're teaching it to do that. But so at the moment, all they can do is accelerate fast and then brake hard and warm the tyres up under braking, which doesn't do it as you would, it doesn't do it when anything like weaving. So it takes a couple of laps.
What tyre company? Couldn't get the tyre company to make them super stickies.
Yokohama's. So I don't, that's what I would have thought as well, Tiff, that they would have had super sticky tyres. But don't forget, they're based in Yas Marina. All the development's been done there. And you've probably got a track temperature of 40 something degrees all year round. And the track temperature was, it was in fact so the Saturday they did this demo lap with the 2 AI cars, no problem, went without a hitch, did maybe 10 laps, and it was impressive, but it wasn't fast. It was just getting out there.
The cars,
what it can do.
The cars are actually Superformula cars, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, proper Superformula cars. And then on the Sunday, it was the big man versus machine. Daniel Kvyat.
Dan, your mate Dan.
Yeah, but my mate Dan. And the AI car, and sadly, it was so cold. I'm not making excuses for them because they're the first to say that it didn't go right. It was so cold. It even started to drizzle a little tiny bit, and they couldn't get the tires warm. And on the outlap, they did a Lance Stroll. The AI car did a Lance Stroll and stuck into the barriers.
I saw it on YouTube. Yeah. But it was coming out of the hairpin. I mean, it was coming out of the tightest corner on the track. And so you're probably just trying to accelerate a bit, too early. And it just spun up the rears. It just spun up the rear tires and backed itself into the barrier, which was, I saw that was on YouTube.
But everybody was still very, because I was a bit gutted for them, but they were all very upbeat and buoyant and saying this is part of our learning. Every single thing like this is learning for us, and it's a great team, very dynamic, and it is all about what they're going to bring to what this will do. Motorsport, as you said, has always helped development. Disc brakes, ABS, low-profile tires, monocoque chassis. All these things have come from motorsport that we take for granted in road cars now, and it will be the same with this sort of autonomy. And not just cars; it will be all sorts of transport in the future. And it's very clever stuff. But we'll take a closer look this week.
What else is on in a Japanese weekend? You have saloon cars and Formula 3s. How many races were going on?
No, really disappointing. There was a lesser Formula, probably like a Formula 4 type stuff, but that was all that was going on as a support racing. I was really
no saloon cars, nothing else.
No, I was really quite surprised, and it looked like there was only the one pits, which aren't very big. They probably haven't changed since you've been there, so I guess that's one difficulty in putting multiple races on. But yeah, it was good.
I mean, a paddock. They got a Formula 1 style garage, but you in the paddock area is quite small. You can't have too many cars. Yeah, Did you have curry rice? Did you go to the cafe and have curry rice for lunch? That was always my favourite.
Yeah,
curry rice. Actually.
Yeah, the people are amazing. I mean, you spend a lot of time here and ask what's what, but the people are. I've never known people like it, and they're so. Even the respect they have, whatever class you are, whatever you have such respect. Even people that typically are very well to do, they're bowing down to waiters and waitresses and saying, thank you so much, and then the waitress is bowing down, and it's just smiles on their faces, really super friendly, very clean, not very many litter bins, which is very odd because there's no litter. But just lovely people. Language barrier. Goodness knows how you did it 30 years ago.
I know.
Because it's hard now with Google Translate.
Well, we had no Google Maps, so we had no signposts. None of the signposts were in English, the writing. They're all in. We actually had in Tokyo, we used to get these maps for driving around, and the maps just had noticeable buildings that you can see what they look like London Eye or something. So you drive around roads until you came across a very special shaped building, and then you found a photo of it on the map, and then you found out where you were, and then you tried to go the next thing. Because I raced in Japan from on and off for about 10 years, going out Formula 2 and Group C sports cars, and it was my second home, so I've always got very fond memories of Japan and Suzuka.
Did you do any karaoke, or was karaoke a new thing?
No, I never did karaoke in Japan. I don't know. I went to a few bars and stuff, obviously, but the whiskey bars where the blokes all take you in and they all get completely trashed. The Japanese is amazing. They've got their metabolism or something. They don't have hangovers, they told me. And then you see these people at 9 p.m., you had a few whiskies with them, and they're trolleyed. And you're thinking, I'm all right, because I sit mine quietly. And then you see them in the morning thinking they're going to be wrecked, and they're as bright as beans.
Yeah, and the tipping culture is one of the biggest things as well. So apparently it's incredibly offensive to leave a tip. So we left a tip at this one bar. They're such lovely people, and they were literally like, no, take it. And it's only a £5. and then
don't
you
start
Google
that.
and it says do not tip in Japan. You really offend them. But lovely people, amazing country, so clean. And the security. You go into a shop, so we're in Tokyo now. We're flying out early tomorrow morning, and but even in the shops in Tokyo, I left my bloody razor in the other hotel, and so I bought a new razor. But in England they got like big tags on them, and they're behind the counter and all that sort of stuff. Everything's just wide open, doors wide open, no security, nothing like that. Fantastic place. Really recommend it. But the jet lag is a killer.
We better go to bed then. You better not go out again tonight.
Well, I might go out for a couple of Swifties, a couple of Swift
Well,
ones.
you enjoyed your Suzuka trip. I love the fans are all great, very enthusiastic. The fans, aren't they, are down there? They wear all the team's colours and shout and scream.
And they've still got the grid girls.
Oh, still grid girls! Whoa!
Yes. Each driver's got four each. Each driver's got four grid girls. So yes. Maybe you should make a comeback in Japan. But thanks.
I want to go back to Japan now. I've been back for 10, 20 years now. But,
we were invited. We'll talk about that some other time. We did get a couple of invites because, as I said, you were very fondly remembered. What's going on next week? Not much.
Well, just the only other thing I have to say about last weekend, there was another very important race going on, which you should know about, of course, the race of Remembrance, which I'm sure you would have been there if you weren't in Japan. So a big shout out for all those that went up to Anglesey to the race of Remembrance. Amazing reason for doing it, and a wonderful weekend. I've never experienced, but you have.
One of the journalists walked up there, apparently, walked all the way there, which was very impressive. But that's James Cameron and his team for Mission Motorsport. So, yeah, good job.
Now next weekend, it's just the MotoGP finale, which is now obviously had to move, sadly, from Valencia.
Barcelona.
After all that to Barcelona. So that's obviously the big excitement of the weekend, although the championship is pretty much over, and Jorge Martin should take the crown in his home country and then take the number one plate off to Aprilia and leave Ducati crying in their boot. But I mean, still, he's got about a 25-point lead, which is the points for winning the Grand Prix. So unless Martin falls off. The Supercars finished their year down in Adelaide, which is a great track, the old Formula One track, which is a great racing circuit. And I think that title's just between the two Red Bull boys in their Chevy Camaros. And that's about it. As the season gets quieter, what have we got now? 2 weeks' time, we've got, of course, Vegas, Formula One. Japan is the rally. Did you see much publicity for Rally Japan down in...
Not a single thing. No, nothing.
Funny rallying in that. Rallying's never been big in Japan, particularly. And then, of course, we've got 3 more Grand Prix still to come, haven't we? Qatar and Abu Dhabi, and the Formula E's were getting publicity because they were having their pre-season driving round. They were supposed to be at Valencia, and they ended up at Jarama. Had to put a chicane in the main straight, of course, to slow them all down enough. And then the ladies, Abby Pulling was the fastest, and Jamie Chadwick was second fastest. All the teams had to have a female driver in the last session, and Abby Pulling came out on top of that. Otherwise, the timing looked pretty similar to normal, and you don't really know who's going quickest. But I think Evans was quickest in Jaguar. They're going 4-wheel drive this year. And they did also pretend they had a simulation race. And it doesn't actually say whether they put any electricity in or not, but they had to pretend to put electricity in, which is the thing. They've always said they're going to be these fueling stops where they come into a mega fast charger, plug it in for 10 seconds and refill the battery and pull it out again, which of course would break up the racing completely and just be another artificial mess. So they had a practice race or something. I'm still not really excited about Formula E. I'm sorry. But they've actually got a race this year. I used to take the mickey out there because they always used to have the 22-23 season, the 23-24 season, and now, of course, we're going to the 24. But never used to actually have a race in the first year of their way they like to make their calendars. But there is a race. I don't know when it is. I think it is I've got it around December, same day as Abu Dhabi. For anyone that is still interested in Formula E, so December the 8th, they're racing somewhere. I don't know where it is they're racing. Aren't they going to the Middle East, the somewhere. Racetrack? What's it called? Where Formula One goes? Middle East.
Qatar, Bahrain, no. Saudi.
Yeah. What's the Saudi course called? The real fast SES. They just call it
the Jeddah street race.
Jeddah, the Jeddah Street.
Yeah.
They're going to Jeddah, but they're only doing half of the Jeddah track because obviously it's too long and too fast, so they apparently go half round.
Yeah. I'm not a fan either, but
have a good sleep, Paul. Have a good sleep.
I'm going out for a couple of beers. I'll sleep on the plane tomorrow. I'll see you on Tuesday.
Cheers, all. Bye.
See you.